On Sunday, the 14th of September 2025, I woke up to the devastating news that one of Hyde's own ex-4 times boxing world champion, Rickey the Hitman Hatton, had passed away that night in his beautiful home in G Cross, Hyde, Greater Manchester. Rickey was found by his manager and close friend of 25 years, Paul Speak, in the early hours of Sunday morning after Rickey failed to show up at a boxing event. Since Rickey's passing on Sunday, there has been a steady stream of locals and fans placing flowers and tributes outside his home and his gym in Hyde. Rickey's house was completed in 2010 and he designed the house with his friend, as he calls Lofty from Loft House Builders, and his dad. It's just incredible, all the flowers and tributes that have been left at Rickey's house. Just heart-wrenching. But I believe there's more at his gym, so we'll go and take a look at his gym because it's literally just a couple of minutes drive away from his house. It's just lots of local people incredibly upset. Now I'm here at the cenotaph, which is the memorial for the guys who fell during the First and Second World War. Now I'm on top of Werneth Low, which dominates Hattersley and Hyde. So from here you can see all of Hattersley really clear. You can even see the work that's going on the A57 Link Road bypass, or the Mottram bypass, from here really clearly. And I'm doing videos on that at the moment, so if you haven't seen those videos, I will put a link down in the description below. Now this video is my personal tribute to Richard John Hatton. I'm going to be looking at where he grew up, how he got into boxing, and what his career in boxing was like. So let's get on with it and celebrate Rickey's life together. So, like at Rickey's house here at Rickey's gym, there are a lot of tributes and flowers outside the property. Now, I didn't know Rickey personally, but like most people or residents of the Hyde area, I met him on numerous occasions. Two what bring to mind are, the first one was when my son was early teens and Rickey was at his height. He played for Hyde United Junior Football Club and I was one of the coaches for that team. And when we had our end of season presentation, Rickey came along to present all the awards. He brought his belts and he was absolutely amazing with the kids. He was there for hours, signing everything, having photographs, and I wish I still had those photographs of when my son Tom met Rickey and spent a good time with him, like all the kids at Hyde United Juniors did that day. It was just incredible. And the second time really I can think of was, I was at work being a plumber, gas engineer, and training plumbers and gas engineers. I was at my centre and I got this phone call, which a number I didn't know. So I answered it, and this very distinct voice on the other end of the phone said, "I believe you're the man who can." And I replied with, "Can what?" And he replied with, fix my boilers. And I went, I'm sorry, who is this? And he went, don't you know who I am? With his very distinctive voice. And I said, not a clue. Where he replied with, it's Rickey Hatton. And I went, who? Now, really, I can't tell you what Ricky's next sentence was, but it started with F and ended with off. So, here at the boiler house, we did sort out the boilers. So that's a couple of my memories I had for Rickey Hatton, and I'm sure virtually everybody in Hyde who's lived here as long as I have a story to tell. It just blows you away, doesn't it? Taken way too young. Rickey opened his gym in the old Printworks in Hyde on May the 12th, 2009. It took 8 months to develop at a cost of £2 million. Rickey's gym was opened by Muhammad Ali, who was regarded by many boxing commentators and historians as the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time. Now I'm here in Hyde Market Square, just outside Hyde Town Hall, and like myself and lots of other Hyde residents, especially what I've read on social media, we all think Rickey should have some kind of a statue because he did a lot for the town of Hyde. So this would be a fantastic place for something like that, or like the other statues we've got outside the town hall. Now, inside the town hall, there is also a book of condolence which Tameside Council have set up for the residents of Hyde and the fans of Rickey to sign. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now, it opened yesterday on Wednesday, and it's open between, I think, 7:30 and 5:30. And you can come along, and it's right at the entranceway of the doorway where you can sign it. So, let's go and write something in his book. And remember, the Hitman Hatton. Now we've come to the Hattersley housing estate, which is an overspill estate built by Manchester City Council in the 1960s. Hattersley, originally one of the largest overspill estates in the region, it has since undergone significant regeneration, including public-private partnership with Barratt Homes and Onward Homes. Like myself, Hattersley was the place where Rickey Hatton grew up. Now this road behind me here is the A57 Mottram Road. Now down that way is Hyde Town Centre, and if you went that way up the road, then you would come to the Hattersley roundabout, the end of the M67. But this house behind me has a special meaning. Now the apartments you can see here behind me didn't always be apartments. And I think it was in 2012 that I actually worked on the conversion from, which was an old pub called the New Inn, to these apartments, and the new build down there used to be the car park. So why is this building important? Well, this is the building where Rickey Hatton actually grew up. So his parents were the landlord and landlady of this pub, or what was the pub, the New Inn, and it is said there had been a pub on this site since the 1600s. Now, in the cellar of the old pub is where Rickey said when he was 12, his parents put in a little mini gym for him. So he had a punch bag and he had a speedball, I believe. And I've been in that cellar numerous times when we were doing the rebuild. So you can just see here in the background the old New Inn pub where Rickey grew up, and literally just across the road here, so you see this red row of houses here and the gap at the end, well, that is a Wardlebrook Avenue. That was another famous house on the Hattersley estate, but for all the wrong reasons, because this is where the infamous Moors murderers Ian Brady and Mara Hindley lived. So literally right behind where Rickey grew up is where those horrendous people lived. The house was knocked down in October 1987 because Manchester City Council couldn't find any tenants willing to live there for obvious reasons. So that's where Rickey grew up. Let's take a look at the place where Rickey went to school, because he actually went to the same school as I did. There was 12 years difference though. Now the road behind me here is Fields Farm Road on Hattersley. And just over here behind me is where Rickey and I went to school. All right, 12 years apart, but we still went to the same school. So the site where these new houses are now is where Hattersley Comp or Hattersley High School used to be. And it closed in 2003. So this spot where I am now has special memories for me, because this path here, coming down here, is the way I used to come to school. So I've just checked, the path what we used to use is still there. This used to be the school playing fields. This was the Royal British Legion pub when I was at school. And I used to do my paper round here. So Fields Farm Road used to be my paper round through the week and at weekends. So as well as coming to school this way, it was also my paper round. So it's amazing to see how it's changed over the last 10 years or so. Incredible, really. Now let's just go to the end of Fields Farm Road, because there's some other properties I want to show you. Now these two apartment blocks you can see behind me were part of the redevelopment of Hattersley in the early 2000s. And in 2007, they renamed them to Hatton Court. So they were named after one of Hattersley's biggest stars and favourite sons, Rickey Hatton. And Rickey cut the ribbon to one of the show apartments in 2007. As well as having the two apartment blocks named after him, in 2001, Rickey also had the honour of starting the Hattersley regeneration by bringing 4 out of 7 110 feet blocks of flats crashing down with the push of a button. Now the building you can see behind me here, just I think, is the old Hyde Library. And again, if you can see this car park here, that used to be Hyde Old Baths. Hyde Baths on Union Street opened on May the 4th, 1889 and closed around 1984. After its closure, the baths was quickly demolished and turned into this car park. The former Hyde Library was established as a technical school and free library, with its foundation stone being laid in 1897, and it opened in 1899. The library service then closed in 2015 and moved location to the town hall just a few minutes down the road. So, why are we here? Well, the building we've got here is the old squash courts that used to be part of Hyde Baths, and I used to play squash there in my teens many years ago, but for a long time it's been a boxing club. So when Rickey Hatton was 10 years old, this is where he was first noticed by a guy called Ted Pete, who's quite well known locally, how good he was at boxing. Now, I remember the boxing club years ago was called Luvalite Boxing Club, which is a local company here in our area that makes blinds. My sister used to work for them. But now it's called the Hyde District Boxing Club. So now we've had a look at where Rickey boxed when he was a little junior. Let's go and have a look at the gym where he trained for most of his professional fights. He did actually come back here a few times when he was a professional to train. Now I've come out of Hyde, and this is Denton, and this is Manchester Road here, and the street you can see here is Hatton Street, and I'm in front of an old warehouse, which is where Better Bodies Gym is. And this is where, for most of Rickey's professional career, he trained. So the mill where Rickey did his training was formerly known as Hatton Street Works and was home to the Moore's Hat Factory. The factory was founded by J. Moores and Son in 1862 and was a major employer in the area until it closed in 1972. Today the complex is undergoing refurbishment and is known as the Lowry Partnership. Now, Rickey's professional boxing career went from 1997 to 2012, and he turned pro when he was just 18 years old. Now, Rickey had 48 fights with 45 wins and only 3 losses. 32 of his fights was by a KO or a knockout. So he had a phenomenal career record. Rickey was also awarded his MBE in the 2007 New Year's Honours List for his service to sport. He collected his award from then Prince Charles, now the King, at Buckingham Palace on January the 12th, 2013, though the official award date was the previous year. So let's get up to the top floor and see if we can have a look at the gym where Rickey trained. So after speaking to the owner of the gym, he said this is where Rickey did his weight training, but his boxing was done next door, which we can't get access to. But he did say if I go around the back and go up the fire escape, I might be able to see through the window. So let's try that. So up this fire escape to the 3rd floor is where the boxing ring was. Not sure because it's all locked up and blocked off whether it's still used. So this is where Rickey did his ring training, and this floor at the top here is where the gym we've just been into, where he did all his weight training. So quite a special place, Better Bodies Gym. So obviously I did go up the fire escape, look through the window, and I saw an old pair of boxing gloves, but that's all I could see. So that's the Better Bodies Gym in the old Moore's Hat Factory in Denton, where Rickey trained for all his professional fights. Now we just come to Tameside Elite Boxing Academy in Stalybridge because there's something new and special I want to see. There has been a memorial painted to Rickey, and it's believed that this memorial has been done by some street artist called Mr. Egg. I don't know how true that is, but that's what the word going around is. I think this shows you how much the people of Tameside loved Rickey Hatton. Just amazing. Now we've come to G Cross Village, which is actually the village where I live, and the road you can see behind me is Stockport Road. So if I went up that way, that would take me back to Hattersley, and if I went down that way, that would take me on off to Stockport. But this road behind me here is Rock Street, and the house you can see right at the end up there is the house that Rickey bought when he made it big in boxing. Now before Rickey bought the house on Rock Street, He lived with his parents just literally over the back fence at Queen's Drive. It literally took him less than a minute to walk from one house to the other. Now we're on Queen's Drive, where Rickey used to live with his parents before he moved to Rock Street, just over there. Now, Rickey's parents don't live here anymore. They live closer to me at the top of Joe Lane. But I'm not going to go outside their house in respect to them, what's been going on. But it's well documented that Rickey fell out with his parents over money, and he hasn't spoken to him for a very, very long time. And I can relate to this because I fell out with my father over money at work, and I didn't speak to him for 10 years. But I'm so glad I did get back in touch with them, and now, well, Dad passed away 2 years ago, but still so glad that I did actually get my dad's last 10, 15 years with him before he did pass away. So God knows what Rickey's parents are feeling at the moment because of what's gone on, but it's just what happens in life. So that's Queen's Drive, which is the road Rickey used to live in with his parents before he moved here at Rock Street. So the road down here is again Mottram Road, the A57, and if we go up that way is the way to the New Inn pub where Rickey was brought up, and if we go down that way we're right near Hyde town centre, a million miles away from Morrison's. And this road here is Boston Street, which again has a lot of memories for me because, I don't know if you can just see it down there, the house on the corner with the bay window is the first house I ever bought when I was 19 years old. Paul Symes here, the actual tyre and exhaust place, is also owned by a school friend of mine, James London. So if you want tyres and exhaust, go and see Jimmy. Anyway, why we're here. Rickey, when he was not fighting, was well known for piling on the pounds. That much that the press called him Rickey Hatton. He even made a big joke of it himself by making sure it was on his boxing shorts. So the reason we're here is this row of, there are flats now, but there used to be a couple of shops down here. Well, these used to all be shops at one point. So just a bit further down here was the Butty Box, which was a cafe, and it was Rickey's favourite cafe, and he used to come here every morning for the bellybuster English breakfast, and he was here that often they actually put a photograph up, I remember, of him, and he had his own table. So it's a shame the Butty Box isn't here anymore, but that's where Rickey spent a lot of his time in the mornings having a breakfast when he wasn't fighting. Now, just down from where Rickey's favourite calf was, here's Frank Massey and Sons funeral directors, and these are the funeral directors who are looking after Rickey, and they've just announced when Rickey's funeral is going to be. So it's going to be Friday the 10th of October, and it's going to be held at Manchester Cathedral. Now, it's tickets only to Rickey's funeral, but there is going to be a procession from probably where Rickey lives to the cathedral. Deborah Massey in 1998 was one of the key figures who raised the alarm about the infamous Dr. Harold Shipman. Deborah noticed a suspiciously high death rate among Shipman's patients. She observed that many were elderly women who died suddenly while fully clothed, and noticed that a large number of cremation forms Shipman had countersigned. Now, the starting point for Rickey's memorial route to the cathedral in Manchester starts here at the Cheshire Cheese in G-Cross, Stockport Road. So Rickey's house is just literally down there, and this was one of Rickey's favourite pubs. So can't think of a better place to start. So this is where it's going to go, and then it's going to go up through G-Cross and then through to Hattersley. While the funeral procession is going through Hattersley, there will be a pause at the Hare Hill Tavern. The funeral procession will then come down Mottram Road to Rickey's mum and dad's old pub, what used to be the New Inn. They will pause here for a dove release before they will then continue down Mottram Road to Union Street in Hyde. They will go then up Market Street to Rickey's gym, where they will pause again. The procession then will go round the James North Clock roundabout, back down Market Street to Hyde Town Hall. They will then continue down Manchester Road, Hyde Road to Crown Point in Denton, where again they will pause at the Better Bodies gym. They will then pass the Manchester AO Arena, where Rickey had 15 fights and also his final fight there. They will then make their way to the Manchester Cathedral for the memorial service, before then going on to the final destination of Manchester City's ground, the Etihad Stadium. Rickey and I have similar tastes. We both are massive fans of Only Fools and Horses, and Rickey actually bought one of the 3 Robin Reliant 3-wheeler vans that we used in the series. We are both football fanatics, and we both played for Tameside Schoolboys when we were at school. The only difference is Rickey supported the blue side and I support the red side of Manchester. Stockport born, which was the same as Rickey, and Manchester City star Phil Foden also came to lay tributes and pay his respect to the star after his passing. Again, like myself, Rickey also loved music, and he was a very big fan of Oasis, the Manchester band, who are also Manchester City supporters. Myself, I am a massive Tears for Fears fan. They are not from Manchester, they are from Bath, which is in Somerset in southwest England, but they are both Man United fans. Now let's finish off this tribute to the life of Rickey Hatton here at his gym for a balloon release.
Walking in, that's a wonderland. There's only one.